Discover exciting places to visit. Explore your community. Learn about new cultures. Meet fascinating people. Find the exotic. There are hidden treasures wherever you go. Travel, learn, take a day trip in your city, or hike in a rainforest. There's so much to see and share. What are you waiting for? Go on a journey. Welcome to On a Journey. I'm Paul Prado. Make sure to check out each video that goes with our podcast on our YouTube channel, Paul Prado Photography on a Journey. Here we are at another box. We've already seen 3 on the back of the cabin. There's a couple in the front. There was a shorter one which would be used for roosting and not nesting because the birds figure out it's too short. I'm a predator, I can get at your eggs. We just left a box at a scrub oak and Mommy flew out, but she flew back and we got some good footage of her. And now she says we're at a black oak. There's so many trees, there's so many bushes and different types of evergreens around here. It's just an amazing place to be. I was standing over here earlier and about 7 zillion ants started using me as a black oak. So I'm immediately over here cleaning myself. So tell us about this black oak.
Well, this tree could easily be 100 or 200 years old.
Holy Toledo.
Yeah, and maybe even older, because I had an interesting thing. We had a tree this large that came down and it kind of broke in half. The way we can see this large limb came off of this tree this winter. And I mean, that limb is bigger around than we are.
Yes.
And so by itself,
and that's good.
Yeah, that's strong. That's what I tell myself, strong. And the trees do this once in a while, but this tree that was elsewhere, down to the west, when it came apart, both sides died. And I felt, oh my gosh, my heart was broken for this big, beautiful tree. You know what it's doing now? It's resprouting.
Oh, wow. Down there.
So if you come by, if I come back in 20 years, somebody who doesn't know, they're going to see this young tree and they're saying, oh, young tree. And yet the roots, that tree may actually be this old, you know? I was so astounded, you know?
So when you're walking on trails in a state park, just out in the outskirts of town, and you see trees like that, you don't know if someone actually planted them.
Right.
You don't know, like she said, if a tree split in half, started decomposing, but the roots took hold, and now you've got new trees coming up. You just walking by a tree, like she said. Oh wow, cute little new tree. And it's actually from the parent plant.
From the roots.
Yeah.
So our box that we have in this big, beautiful tree, which...
So you can get that up there, Nan?
Is...
you can see that it's long.
A little different style. Right?
Yeah.
And so it's a little heavier. That means it's sturdier, but it also means you have to have stronger upper body strength.
Well, you definitely get your workout working here on the ranch.
Keeps me powerful.
Amen. Oh, wait. Nancy, if you could, or turn it to her, so you can get that nesting material right there in the hole.
Now that's actually a big clue as to what bird we have in this box.
So the nesting material provides a clue as to who's inside.
This is not the same bird that we saw before with fur.
Yes, because it's twigs.
It's twigs.
Ooh, Inspector Clouseau.
Exactly. So I bring this down. I hit a nice point. And we actually have adjusted these boxes. Most of them come...
Look at this, the rollers.
They come so they open in the front or the sides. It is so much nicer when they open on the top. So we added these hinges and we put these little cabinet clips.
Home Depot must love you.
They love us. but this will help keep the raccoons out.
And this is plumbing.
This is plumbing
tape,
strapping,
whatever they call
very,
it.
Very heavy duty.
For your water heater.
Absolutely.
I tell you.
Yeah, Home Depot loves
You're the
us.
Roberta Villa.
We love it.
This is this old forest.
All right.
And we have, oh my God, we have one egg.
We have one egg. This was just twigs last week that went all the way to the floor in a big cylinder. And then they've built it up, they've added that little cup, and they've laid their first egg. So next week, what I would expect is there'll be 6 eggs, 7 eggs.
Here at Bearpaw Ranch.
Maybe 8.
Oh, let me get a quick shot of it.
Notice the bluebird feathers. That's another thing.
My God.
They love to line their nests with downy feathers. Hopefully that was a bluebird that just went through what we call molt, the normal replacement of its feathers.
So molt is a new word, a nice science word.
M-O-L-T.
M-O-L-T, like bolt, means
with
the
an M.
replacement of old feathers. You preen, you pluck. Preening means you like clean yourself. So you pluck them off and they fall to the ground, and you're lucky enough to see a beautiful blue feather. Well, other birds of the forest use that to line these nests, probably for a little aesthetics, you know.
So,
I think they see
what
color.
do you do with down? Down jackets?
Down jacket, down pillows.
So this is not a complete furry nest, but right where the babies are, we're going to give them a little down blanket.
Nice.
Isn't that sweet? So we need to
hoist it back up.
Put it back up. Again, Mom's not going to be chased off of this one because she laid one egg. She'll lay another one tomorrow, another one the next day. All right. Nest building. Last week I had 70. Nest with eggs. 1.
1 egg in this nest with bluebird, mountain bluebird, western bluebird. Don't know which one it is. Lining the nest. When she put the box back up, she said she had to have it at the right angle. Probably a facsimile thereof of the right angle where it was before, so the mother can come back. And that she's probably going to lay out an egg every day, and like she said, she won't sit on the nest until she's completely finished with her clutch or her group of eggs that she's going to hatch.
Paul, one of the interesting things, and this does have to do with people who are sometimes trying to rescue babies that fall out of nests. Right now I'm being very sensitive. I want that nest exactly where Mom left it, in the same exact position, because they're very sensitive at this point when they're laying the eggs.
Okay.
Now, the longer they sit on the eggs, the more they have invested in this, the less likely they are to abandon the babies.
Okay.
Once the chicks hatch out of the eggs and Mom starts feeding them, you can almost do anything and they will not abandon those babies. There have been cases where, let's say, this was in a park and the city said that tree has to come down, and you're like, it has to come down this week, can't you wait 2 weeks for the babies? And they're like, no, because bureaucracy.
Yep.
And so the people who are monitoring will come along and they'll go, well, where's the nearest tree? Maybe it's 50 feet that way. Will Mom come back?
Right.
If it was just eggs, probably not. But if it's babies, she'll be over there. And she'll keep feeding them, even though you've completely moved the nest to another place.
So this slides us into a good topic that I was thinking about yesterday. We had lots and lots of gusty wind. I mean, there was wind everywhere, and it was thrashing everything. So how does wind come into this with you and nest boxes and cup nests and blowing boxes down?
Well, obviously nests can be harmed. Whole trees come down in our windstorms.
We saw this back here.
We did, and nests blow out of trees.
What do you recommend for our viewers and our listeners should they find a nest, or with eggs or with babies?
Usually the recommendation this has been studied by a lot of smart rescue people over the years. If you can, reunite the mama with her babies in the wild. Sometimes that means stapling a cardboard box onto the tree and then putting the nest with the babies into that little cardboard box, getting it up off the ground,
Okay.
right? Or if you have little babies and they're fledglings, then
What's a fledgling? Baby
that
bird?
means
It's ready almost?
It's just about ready, or it has, you know, sometimes people think birds need rescuing. All that's happened is they've jumped out of the nest kind of naturally.
Okay.
Maybe they're not quite.
Coordinated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're in the awkward, they're still fuzzy. Mom and dad will still be feeding them.
Okay.
And you just need to put them someplace safe nearby
Okay.
and let the parents take over, because they can do a lot better job of feeding them, training them. They
So
actually
you don't
teach.
recommend people taking the birds in the house and trying to feed them worms?
They can do so much better, their own parents.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of like foster care. If that's all there is, then be a wonderful foster parent.
Okay.
But if you can, if you can possibly keep them with their own parents, that tends to be the best thing. You
So
know?
we've been seeing a lot of wind, and if you see that with the babies or the fledglings, we learned a new word here. It's birds either almost mature enough to fly and they're ready to go. Keep them close to mom and dad so they can get fed from their
And
proper
then
parents.
learn the ways. Their parents will show them where to eat, how to avoid predators. You know, that's hard for, I've raised some baby birds myself. That's really hard for me to teach the baby bird.
Right.
I can feed it and get it big and healthy, but I can't teach it how to go be a bird.
Be in the
you know?
wild.
So if we can do that, it's a good thing.
So where are we off to now?
We will go down that way where our volunteer is doing some painting. We have a nest where maybe some eggs might have hatched.
Let's check it out.
Sometimes if I have concerns about disturbing them, if it was cold weather, rainy, I would see evidence that she was carrying food in her mouth, I'd know they hatched. I would just take a note
take
and
a
I
pass?
wouldn't bother.
Yeah.
It's very warm today, it's very buggy, she's obviously going to be doing well with this. We do have ants underfoot. Mom, can I look? So the sooner I get in and check her babies, the sooner she can get back to feeding them. And the fact that they're still eggs, they're hatching today.
Move back in your head. Move your head, yeah.
Do you see it?
So these are baby.
Oak titmice.
Oh my goodness. This is the best.
And it may be that the 3 eggs that have not hatched will hatch later today. These are just born. Now notice that there's no eggshells left. Mama carries those away.
We just saw a mom, but she told me it could be a dad, an oak titmouse, compound word there. That's from the oak tree. And it had grubs in its beak to feed the babies, the 4 hatchlings that were in there just pretty featherless and probably blind looking for food. And then you told me more about as the babies get bigger.
Well, both parents in the oak titmice are going to feed the babies. That's not true in all species, but many of our nesting birds, both parents are very good parents.
And then you said as they get more mature,
And then
the babies.
they start feeding them little tiny bugs at first, and then they'll feed them bigger and bigger worms or what, eventually
Big grubs, huh?
as they get closer to their full size.
Okay, and then you said that how long will they be here now?
They are going to grow fast.
And then within how many
In
weeks?
probably 3 weeks they'll be flying around on their own,
So that's called fledging.
fledging.
So when you hear the term fledging, or like in scouts, they use the word fledgling, you are a beginner.
Right.
So in nature, they use that term for a baby that's mature enough to live on its own. So it's not like humans where you stick around mom and dad till you're 40 and 45. With your an oak titmouse, you're out in 3 weeks.
Well, yeah, once they move away from mom and dad, they'll be called juveniles.
Okay.
Just like in us, juvenile delinquent.
Yeah.
Those birds will be well behaved, and then they will get to be adults by next season.
1 year.
1 year.
Can you imagine a human maturing in 1 year? Sweet. All right. So we saw an oak titmouse. She just educated me.
In a pine tree.
In a pine tree. So you can reside wherever you feel it's necessary. And right now we're in front of this beautiful, huge, I'm sure, ancient tree. And this is a
Incense cedar.
incense cedar.
Incense, like the fragrance that you burn.
Like an incense stick.
And cedar, like you make cedar chests and
Cedar chips and all
cedar
that?
chips.
Wow.
Absolutely. And these beautiful trees usually mean there's a little extra water. They are most common a little more towards the shady side of things. This one is probably happy because of the runoff from the house.
Yeah, I don't know if you can zoom in on this, Nan, but it looks like it's got flaky skin. I was just taught that this is a young incense cedar, like the big tree we just saw, and I could put my whole hand around it. There's ants thriving on it. I'm sure other creatures live off this skin and get nutrients from this young tree. So it just goes to show you that, like I was just told, you start differently than you end up as a mature tree. So as you walk around this landscape that's typical to the folks up here in the mountains and in the foothills, those of us that live in the city, in the urban areas and suburban areas, we don't get to see this. So you can see these leaves are soft, they're full of water, moisture, and it's a micro habitat. That's right. This is a bear scratching tree. Can you pan up there, Nan? This bear, it's got to be 6.5 feet tall, if not taller, with that little creaky sound. And he's clawing here, and all these shavings that are about me at the base of the tree is a California black bear. Sin's giving me a nod. It's a California black bear. So those of you that are city folk, like I'm relatively a city folk kind of guy, I have never ever seen, I don't know if I should touch this because then I get jumped by a bear. Look at this. I couldn't even try to shred this with my hands. I would get slivers, and look at this big piece just hanging off. Wow, an organic back scratcher. We had talked about a tree that fell. We were talking about young trees, new trees, trees that split in half, and we had talked about it, and this is it. So tell us.
This tree just about 2 years ago fell, and both sides that came down died. It was after a big storm, huge winds, the ground got soft. When it first came down, you could walk right through the middle here, but now you can see it's coming up with a resprouting. And I'm pretty sure that if we could do genetic studies, we would find that this dead tree is genetically identical to this new growth.
So see the new growth here, you've got this here, Nan. She was saying that genetics, probably the young comes from the old. The felled tree split in half. Yeah, I don't know if you can zoom in the middle, but it's pretty dark. But you can see the trees are twisty coming through the bottom. So they germinated, obviously. And now you've got this healthy young tree that's several years old and providing, again, habitat and food for the wildlife that's here in Forest Falls. Forest Falls, right?
Forest Falls.
Forest Falls. And away we go.
We are absolutely needing to be careful as we walk on the trails up in this part of the property. We have poison oak. Poison oak is a beautiful plant, gets berries, it's good for the wildlife, but many people are highly allergic to it, and you'll get a terrible rash, and it's not good. So we always recommend don't go near it, just as a precaution.
Go on Google, look at the shape, look at the size, look at the coloring in the fall, the spring, and the summer, and just know that plant.
Yeah.
Because like she said, if you're allergic to it, or if it scrapes on you, or you scrape on it, or somebody pushes you against it, it's a nasty rash.
Yeah, but people who grew up with it, actually, the Native Americans apparently weren't bothered by it at all. Probably because they were exposed a lot, and
over generations.
They just got used to it.
Sweet.
Dozen species of trees, easy.
I don't know if you heard Sin, there's about a dozen species of trees. It's just a gorgeous view that you don't get anywhere else. And so close to the city, you have to come out. I mean, it's just gorgeous. Get a hold of Sin. We'll talk about it at the end, how to communicate with her and get in touch with her. But this is just majestic. It's beautiful. It isn't bothered by humankind. And it's just...
Come right here, Paul. I'll show you a special tree.
All right.
I could give you a test.
Oh, no.
Because we've seen this tree before.
A black oak.
You are good.
Hey, I get a gold star.
Woo. Now,
Estrella.
this little guy growing next to it, I want you to notice the leaves are very different.
Yes,
right?
these are round.
Smell
This is
that
more
leaf.
oval. This is more like a maple leaf almost kind of
Canada
shape.
flag type.
Ooh. Here, I'm going to put it up to the camera. Can you smell it? Can you smell it? Here, smell it again. Oh, didn't that smell good?
What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know. Tell me.
If you cook, you might have used this in your
Here,
cooking.
take a whiff. I've got lotion on my hand.
Like a basil?
It's close. It's a bay tree.
The bay leaf.
Oh,
Like you
bay
put the
leaf.
bay
It's a
leaf.
bay leaf.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
poisonous.
No.
It is?
Oh,
Oh,
you
that
know what?
smells
You're
good.
probably-
Here, smell it again.
Paul, you are probably absolutely right about some toxicity, because one of the things the Native Americans did with these, and feel how soft that is. That's soft.
It is.
Very elastic. They used to take these branches and make beds out of them. Right? You make a whole bunch of these and it gets nice and squishy.
Oh, like in the rainforest.
And the bay leaves, very fragrant and supposedly insecticidal, so that it would keep away.
What is insecticidal? we learned a new. We learned fledgling. We learned all cavity nests.
What's homicidal?
Not fun.
Homicide is bad. Insecticide is bad. Yeah. So
Insecticide is bad.
right.
School is good.
For the insect.
Okay.
Right, because this is going to repel the insects.
Insect repellent. That's what
There
we're
you go.
looking for.
Yeah, you could probably rub this on you.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, now we might get rashes. So.
Here we are in the thick of it, in the brush. We just four-wheeled over an unpaved, sort of marked pathway, and
That
now
was the road.
holy, you'll see it. I filmed it on my phone. We're here by a box in the middle of the forest. And now we're going to check out what's in it. We are at what is this? SG2 or S92?
9.
S92. What do we got?
All right, we will see. Last week when I was here, we saw bluebirds and we saw the beginning of a nest. And actually,
I saw a bird.
it's coming up close to us, right up there.
I saw it.
So I think there might be something going on with this.
So, Sin, what are these?
Well, what color are they, Paul?
They are blue.
So I wonder.
Is this a mountain bluebird or?
It's a bluebird.
It's a bluebird. Western bluebird?
It is the western bluebird.
Oh, that's awesome.
Now we saw on some of those other nests that they had 7 eggs. Sometimes they'll have 8 eggs, even 9 eggs. Bluebirds are much less productive.
Okay.
They have usually 4. We see 5.
5.
That's a large family for bluebirds. So we'll see. I think it must be because they're bigger birds, and then they have,
Well,
that means more food for the babies is necessary, right?
So you have fewer
These are
birds.
bigger eggs.
More, yes,
Yeah.
they're bigger eggs. I don't know if you can rewind the video when you see the show and comparatively match
These are twice as
the
big.
3 eggs that we saw, the 1 egg, the 7 eggs,
3
and now the
times.
5 eggs. This is beautiful. And then what's the nesting material?
Well, you see it's not sticks.
It's dry.
It's not
It's like
fur.
like grass.
It looks
and
like grasses and maybe
parts of bushes that are like
pine needles.
right, that you see on the ground.
Yeah.
So, and you could see that this is pretty chipped away. Do you think a predator was trying to get into there?
A mouse or something was probably chewing on it.
Can you see that, Nan? Someone went to town on this, on S9-2.
Yeah.
This wasn't Bluebird stuff.
No, the bluebirds wouldn't do
Have
that.
to come out here with some snips and snip this
Yeah.
little nail there.
There's always maintenance.
We just saw the bird box of a western bluebird, and now we're at this beautiful panoramic view of the mountains. Tell us about these mountains.
Well, these mountains are what they call part of the Transverse Ranges. They're actually quite unique. If you look at our topographical maps, they run east-west. And what you might not know is the tops of the mountains when you go out to sea, that's our Channel Islands.
Wow.
Yeah, most of our mountain ranges, think about the Sierra Nevadas,
Correct.
they're running from north to south.
Okay.
But these are running
East to
perpendicular.
west. Okay.
And you know why? Earthquake faults.
All right. It's
Yeah.
not my fault. Just kidding. What did you call it? The
Transverse, which means crosswise.
Okay.
Crosswise ranges.
Okay.
And
So
it would
but basically
it would
perpendicular
include
then,
the
right?
San Gabriels, it would include the San Bernardinos, and it includes the San Jacinto. So if you've been to Idlewild,
Correct.
yeah, that up the tram.
So does that mean all this was underwater?
No, they would have to. But what's happened? The earthquake faults, which
Shifts it.
yeah, it's bumping
it.
into the San
Whether
Andreas,
divergent, convergent,
being thrown
the
up.
shearing, all the
Yeah.
4 types of plate movement.
Yeah, so
creates
it's
this
very
beautiful-
exciting for geologists.
Yes, very beautiful
we need a
tectonic.
geologist here.
Well, we've got divergent, where the plates move apart.
Right.
We have convergent, which make the mountains. We have shearing, where the plates slide. And we have subduction, where the volcanoes come up in the ring of fire.
Southern California has it all.
So if you want earthquake stuff and plate tectonics, come to the Golden State. So we're wrapping up our wonderful travels today at Bearpaw Sanctuary in Forest Falls. We've seen several types of habitat. Now we're lower than where we were on the higher slopes near the oaks, near the western bluebird box, and here we came down near the sycamore trees and the spruce trees
And sagebrush.
and sagebrush. This is
Sagebrush.
called scrub, which is thick, dense
Buckwheat.
brush. I want to thank Sin Gray Raven for your time.
It was a pleasure.
A pleasure.
Pleasure.
And it was my joy and my pleasure to experience Bearpaw Sanctuary. Make sure you check us out on Paul Prada Photography on the journey, and listen to the podcast on KMET 1490 AM on Sundays at 9. So we need to see you out here. Volunteer Bearpaw Sanctuary. Find her on Facebook.
Come for a picnic.
Come for a picnic, day trip. If you go on her Facebook page, you'll see a bear that they did spot, hence the name, Bearpaw Sanctuary. So get yourself out on the road, look at some butterflies like Nancy's doing right now, and go on a journey.